Dinwiddie around Anthony screen, right corner. Oh! Stanley, he will baseline driving and jam it.
Oh my God.
Johnson driving to the wing, to the baseline. He's under the hoop, up and under, right to left with a right-hand slam.
Next telecast will be at Portland the next night. Triple turnover. Johnson will get an easy one here at home.
Driving for the Pacers and missing was Hill. Pistons the other way, and they get a Stanley Johnson jam. Missed jumper by Payne. Stanley Johnson reaches to the rim. Jackson trying to stop the run. Stanley Johnson drives and dunks.
There you go, young fella.
Marcus Morris, guarded by LeBron. Stanley Johnson takes it right into Dellavedova.
Why isn't any blue jerseys on the floor right here? Now, how can they just be outplaying us coming off a back-to-back with Stanley Johnson with the and one?
Kobe directs traffic, hands to Russell. Russell, pocket pick by Stanley Johnson. To the rim against Kobe, he lays it up, plays it in. Stanley Johnson, nice move, floats it up, fills it up. KCP put it down, couldn't pick it back up. Andre could, runs up a half hook, no flush. 4.5 to play in the half. Joe Young penetrates his pass back outside, picked off by Stanley Johnson. Down the lane for a jam. He has 10 in the third. Low left to Stanley Johnson. Nice post-up score in the face of DeQuan Jones. This is to Stanley Johnson, backs on Turner. Turner kind of pulled the chair. Stanley Johnson against Ryan Anderson, bulls his way, hooks it, hits it. Corner bounce to Stanley Johnson. Time for the shot, sticks it.
Nice.
Great to see that one fall. The first regular season NBA hoop for Stanley Johnson is a triple.
Johnson. Oh my goodness.
Jackson, corner. Whoa. Stanley Johnson buries a three from the corner.
Oliver to Johnson. Turns and fires and fills it up.
Marcus against Livingston. Now Iguodala gets back over to him. Top side to Stanley Johnson. Stanley Johnson to the hole. Has it top side, winging the right to Stanley Johnson against Joe Young. Stanley drives, got the Glasser to go on the run.
Real fluid going to the basket.
Baines hands it back to Stanley Johnson, who spins inside for a score. Stanley Johnson triple. Houston extending that defense. The open man, Stanley Johnson. Steal by Stanley Johnson from McDermott. And a stuff. Lightning quick hands. And the Pistons get a jam and a three-point lead. Bulls by 3 on the McDermott triple. Stanley Johnson to the rack. Didn't quite have time, he didn't think, to take that three from the corner. Wheels inside.
Left side wing, Johnson goes baseline on Buttinger. Buttinger forces a contested shot, which Johnson hits.
Stanley, nice screen from Baines to the basket. Dynamite dunk. Pistons within 5. Stanley Johnson with a corner 3, and it's through. For Milwaukee. And his pass swiped by Stanley Johnson, the drive and dunk. Stanley Johnson drives, floats it up, fills it up. Olenek and Turner off the Boston bench. Stanley Johnson steps into a shot and sticks it. Turner, pocket pick. Stanley Johnson with a race to the rim, lays it up, lays it in.
Into Ariza. Blocked out of bounds.
When he gets the basketball.
Well put, Gregory. Stanley Johnson open in the corner, triples. Stanley Johnson with the corner, long gun, got it. Steve Blake handles, cross courts to Stanley Johnson. And he triples. Stanley from Blake, sends it, scores it, a triple.
Inglis fades, shoots. That one is no good. Rebound taken down there by Johnny O'Brien. Blocked from behind by Stanley Johnson, who saves it.
Using some of that lateral quickness to the low by base.
Look inside. Marshall again with good vision, but Covington unable to finish. Lob. Yep, there it is. Wow, and that was quite a catch by Stanley Johnson. First had to stop it with his left hand, then gained body control and control of the ball before he was able to deposit two. Nicely delivered by Steve Blake.
Count it. Solid rock. Ball swing to Hilliard, who gave it up. Stanley Johnson, indecisive, sends it and hits it anyway.
Has his pocket picked by Thaddeus Young. Ball scores loose to Stanley Johnson for the 24. Stanley with a drive. Leaves it outside for Stanley Johnson. Into the paint. Andre with a screen. Stanley with a steal. Still with it. Pulls his way to the basket. Stanley Johnson gets to the lane. Leans it, guns, and it goes. Reggie into the paint. Deep for Stanley Johnson. Scored it despite the hit.
Basketball team for the most part, and those shots are not falling.
Stanley Johnson playing the passing lane. Takes it to the rim. Stanley Johnson against Harris. Turns from the baseline. Fires it, fills it.
Right place, right time because of his activity.
Just under 5.5 to play. Stanley Johnson wheels inside. Hooks it.
Stanley Johnson looking inside. Ooh, heck of a shot.
Clippers getting turnover prone here. Johnson will fire, and there, bingo. Steve works. Johnson.
That is a big rookie. You'd think lightning could strike twice. It is. Here's Johnson. An open three. They're in great rhythm right now.
73-69 Sixers. Stanley Johnson turns the corner and jams.
Roberts had a 9-rebound game the other night. Oh, that's a block from Stanley Johnson.
Boy, what a quick move that was. And if it goes, that will count.
Johnson steps into a three and knocks it down.
Robinson having a tough time catching his breath.
Yeah.
Johnson. Baines retrieves it in the corner. Johnson lines it up and book it. Put the spin on the finger roll. Just get it to go in. Stanley Johnson is wide open. Stanley Johnson the rebound. Watch out, watch out. He's in a hurry. And he lays it in. Another timeout, Denver.
Turnover.
This is going to be Stanley. No, it's Stanley Johnson. Only shooting 20% on the year from three and 30% overall, and he's 1 for 4 tonight. Running into a brick wall is Johnson. He gets it back and counters a trio of Lakers.
Hit the half hook. He has 8 off the heel to Donald Sloan. Now Dante Jones has it down the lane, drives it into Stanley Johnson. Topside Marcus Morris, left wing Stanley Johnson fakes it left, takes it right to the basket. Running hook. He hit it. Count that baby and a foul.
Shot clock at 6. Shumpert putting pressure on Bullock. Stanley Johnson connects. Blake kicks it back out. Stanley Johnson drills it.
First assist for Hill. Pacers have just 9 assists tonight. In a loss the other night against Milwaukee, they had 27 assists. Basket count and nothing. No points. And that's Stanley Johnson with the steal.
That's his thing. The bigs for the Pacers, if you're going to play smash mouth, that means you're playing inside.
Johnson.
As we near the 4-minute mark, spin move.
Suns 2-1 at home. Here's Stanley Johnson with the hard drive.